Welcome to Andy and Ari On3. Big news from Deion Sanders. We'll talk about that in a second. We're coming to you in the afternoon, which may seem a little weird because we've been coming to you in the mornings for a couple of years now, but the schedule has changed. So new schedule, Ari, every day we'll be dropping a show at 3 p.m. Eastern time. That's Monday through Friday throughout the off season. Once the season starts, it'll be Monday through Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And then Saturdays will be live at 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. So that's the new schedule. Ari, it just so happened to work out today that Deion Sanders had a press conference at 11 a.m. Mountain time. So we're coming right out of that press conference as we talk about this. Holy crap. He had bladder cancer and had his bladder removed.
Yeah, that was some pretty heavy stuff. The thing that I want to say about Deion and to Deion, if he ever watches this, is that I thought it was like courageous to be so transparent about a really serious health situation. I think we all kind of knew that, he was struggling a bit. I don't know if we knew exactly how intense it was. Yeah, that I know there were a lot of rumors about, is he going to retire? Is he done? Or is he?
Everybody who thought he was going to bail as soon as Shedeur and Travis Hunter and Shiloh were done was pouncing on this. Oh, there's a press conference. His doctor's going to be there. He's going to retire. Not only did he not retire, but he doesn't have to coach through this. He's got to want to do this job pretty badly to coach given these circumstances. Right.
I mean, that's a pretty intense, situation. Bladder cancer, surgery, removal of bladder. You got to worry about remission, recovery, the reoccurrence of the cancer, maintenance, inability to control the bladder. I mean, all these things are things that you wouldn't really be able to, go to a normal job with, let alone one that requires as much time. So, I am one of the people that did question at times whether or not he was dedicated to this job long-term, but he shut me up pretty good, didn't he?
Oh, me too. I remember saying it after the Nebraska game last year. Now, I think I was starting to turn watching him recruit Julian Lewis last fall, because why would you try to get a highly touted quarterback recruit if you didn't care, if you weren't going to be there? But if there were any remaining questions, they're answered. They're answered. So Deion Sanders brought his oncologist today to help explain what happened. So let's let her explain exactly what he was dealing with.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we proceeded with removal of the bladder tumor. It showed a very aggressive.
Let's go backwards because you guys gave me options that scared me to death.
Oh, well, once we knew.
We'll get there.
I'll
get there.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We removed the tumor. It was very high grade, invading through the bladder wall, not into the muscle layer, something we call very high risk, non-muscle invasive bladder cancer. So we did discuss options. We discussed some options of treatment in the bladder, and we discussed bladder removal as well. Given his commitments to his family and to the team, elected to undergo a bladder removal. We performed a full robot-assisted laparoscopic bladder removal and creation of a new bladder. And I am pleased to report that the results from the surgery are that he is cured from the cancer.
You can clap. It's okay.
And normally we say don't clap at press conference, but yeah, you can clap for that. That's pretty awesome. The options he had were get treatment within the bladder, you keep your bladder, but there's a 50% chance your cancer is going to come back, and it's 3 years of very tough treatments.
Mm-hmm.
Or get your bladder removed. She said they made a new bladder, and they made it out of small intestines, which just constantly amazes me what they can do.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was just like, it's unbelievable the advancements that we have at our disposal at this era of life, But yeah, that was the second option that he took.
And that's the option that allows him to coach, that allows him to, I think probably more importantly, he's got his first grandchild, like be around for more grandchildren, because the doctor was very clear, like the second option, the treat within the bladder, most people don't survive past 5 years. And so this is how serious this was.
I think that
And
people had a perception that he wasn't doing well, and they were right about that. But I don't think that people realized that like this could be a life or death scenario. Like this is a pretty intense, an intense situation, and
and the decision to remove your bladder, like, because they make a new one out of your small intestine, doesn't mean it works like your real bladder works. And he got into that in pretty graphic detail about what he's dealing with in terms of peeing, and it is, well, let's just hear him talk about the peeing.
It's been tough. I think I dropped 25 pounds. I was like a Atlanta Falcon prime at one point, and just dealing with the catheter, dealing with all the stuff that I had to deal with. And right now I'm still dealing with going to the bathroom. Like, it's a whole life change. Like, I can't, and I'm gonna be transparent, I can't pee like I used to pee. It's totally different. And she not only is a blessing, but she provided other persons that have gone through what I've gone through so that I could talk to them and get some solace and understand like what I'm facing, not just from a doctor, but from another individual. And the half that hadn't been told, like, it's a totally different life. I mean, thank God. I depend on depend. If you know what I mean. I truly depend on depend. Like I cannot control my bladder.
Okay, so we're going to see Deion Sanders Depends commercials during the football season, right?
Yeah, I mean, like it would be the most Deion Sanders thing ever to take what is truly a miserable, awful, unlucky health situation and turn it into an NIL deal. But you know what? Good for him. If I went through something like that, I certainly would want to. Yeah, I mean,
the thing is, and you mentioned this earlier, like the courage to talk about this publicly, because a lot of people wouldn't. He's actually going to help a lot of people here. He's going to help a lot of people make these decisions, maybe go get checked out when they wouldn't have gotten checked out. Maybe some people get this stuff caught early and it saves some people's lives. It's a big deal when somebody like this is willing to put themselves out there like that. Because there's a lot of people who they don't want to talk about their medical stuff. And this is especially private and messy and gross. And he's saying it in a way that is making all of us laugh along with him. I got to tell you that the thing that struck me, Ari, I don't know about you, just the attitude, and Deion talks about God a lot. And I just thought the way he explained it, where he said, basically, I could complain about this, but I'm blessed. I'm blessed because I get to be around my grandkids more. I get to be around my kids more. I get to do more things on this earth. That's a blessing. This other stuff is just, it's not easy, and there's going to be problems, but ultimately I'm blessed. I wish I could look at the world that way more often, because I think I'd be a happier person.
Yeah, I've actually been trying to do that. Because I get flustered and upset about things that ultimately aren't very big deals. I thought that it was like, whether you're a spiritual person or not, that's your prerogative. But, the idea of just like looking at life of, well, this bad thing happened, but what about all the other good things? The why me thing he said was very touching, of like, why me? Why am I the one who got the same reason why it's why me? Because I get to be a incredible athlete and a world figure and the head coach of, I thought that was a nice thing. And the fact that he was able to, at least reinforce the message that people should go checked out and be proactive about their health maintenance is important. It's like, even me too. Like, I don't go to do you get a checkup every year? Like, no. You should, right? Like, you probably should go get a physical every year just to make sure that, get your blood drawn, see, and like the thing that Deion Sanders always says, and at times it's just kind of like, when you're not thinking about something this heavy, it's like, oh, you roll your eyes. It's like he said that like his entire purpose at Colorado is to touch as many people as possible, right? And through the spirit of competition and rebuilding a program and recruiting debates that we have and all the things that, like, today, I mean, might have been the single most significant thing that he's done in terms of touching the public, right? Like, which is
Yeah.
to be vulnerable about a very serious health matter, and to go into the details of like a new life that, exists because of that health procedure that he went through. And, being brave enough to say that, like, I think that that's an important message, and I'm happy that he shared it, and I'm happy he's okay. Like that, like I know it took 10 minutes. Like, I'm happy he's okay.
Yeah, when you boil it all down,
morning,
like he had cancer, but he's gonna be okay. Like
like it's a
huge
thing. And I know also too, to be selfish for us, and to be selfish for the fans, and to be selfish for college football, I'm really happy he's still the coach there.
Yeah,
because there was a lot.
He didn't need to be like.
Yeah,
he could have said, "Screw this." Like, that's the thing. Like, he's going to deal. He was joking about having a porta potty on the sideline. He is going to be dealing with a lot more than a lot of college football coaches. Now, I will point out also this season, Hugh Freeze is undergoing cancer treatment, the Auburn coach. So, both of them working through stuff you don't necessarily need to work through when you're already a millionaire.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So, I know that there was a lot of speculation about what today was going to be about. Frankly speaking, it was a little bit different to have an entire press conference just to outline the health of the coach. But I'm happy that he's here, and I'm happy.
I'm glad he brought his doctor there, Dr. Janet Kukureja, his oncologist, like to hear her explain what happened and what he's dealing with, and how you can get yourself checked, and how you can be proactive. Like you said, he did more for more people today than he probably has in the entirety of his tenure at Colorado.
Right.
He didn't have to do any of that.
And I hope people hear the message, because it really is like health maintenance, even for me, I shouldn't be eating certain things now. You get older in age, you get up there in age, like you don't bounce back the same way you used to when you were a kid. And, heck, I might after this just go schedule a physical, because it's been a few years since I've had one, because, you think everything's okay every day. And then, you never know, like you feel a lump, or, you having headaches. Like, I mean, this happens to people every day,
Yeah. Well, he's coaching. Right? And I think there's a lot of speculation, because I believe it was Friday afternoon they put the press release out saying there was going to be a press conference on Monday. And there was a lot of speculation over the weekend that maybe he wasn't coming back. And it's one of those things, if you talk to enough people, he's coming back, but he's going to tell you what happened, and it's going to be kind of wild.
Yeah.
But it was a really fun answer to a question about somebody asked him about his staff, which his staff has done a very good job. But I did appreciate Deion's answer to the question.
And then my second part was, sorry about related to football, but you have a great coaching staff. How much have you relied on that, and how much will you rely on them this season, maybe to help out?
I don't have to rely on them. I'm back, baby. I'm back. I don't rely on them no more. I'm going to be with them. The Bible says, remember the rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Okay, so we're going to comfort one another. And I love them. We have a wonderful staff, and thank God that they're good enough that I don't have to babysit. I don't have to be there every minute too. And I know they got that. It ain't like I told them anything. I think they found out yesterday, like the team found out. They didn't know.
That's the other part of this. He didn't tell the staff or the team exactly the extent of this. It sounds like he didn't tell Shadur and Shiloh the extent of this.
He didn't tell his kids, because he wanted them to keep their heads on straight and focus on making NFL rosters, which, by the way, is the ultimate dad move, right? Like, there's a lot of respect there. Like, older people.
Well, he power ranks his kids, so that the other three kids were told.
Yeah, he ranks his kids.
Yeah, they were told. But yeah, and I have actually adopted Deion Sanders.
He was joking about having to go through and my wife and I are actually in the process of doing this too, of writing a will and getting your stuff in order, just in case, because you have to be an adult when you have a child.
Yep.
But if you were a kid and you heard your dad putting together his final orders or his final affairs, trying to sift through how to rank your children based on who deserves what financially, do your kids just get in line? What do you need to do to rise up the rankings? We talk so much about the college football playoff.
We actually have stolen Deion's kid power rankings, because when he introduced the concept a few years ago, we introduced it in our house. And I tell you what, he's got 5, so it's a little different. But when you only have 2, you can really
who's in first
create some
place?
competition.
What happens in your house? How does somebody progress? Is it good grades? Is it listening?
Good grades,
reliability?
listening, being proactive, doing something we didn't ask you to do, going out of your way to be kind. Like there's a lot of ways to rise in the power rankings.
Yeah, we have 1, so we got to work on that. But
It's going to be a little tough for you.
Yeah, getting in the race to Deion's will and how much you get based on those power rankings is a level of stakes that we haven't talked about in the playoff rankings show. But all kidding aside, Andy, I just want to reiterate that I'm happy he's good. Yeah. I'm happy he's still at Colorado, and I'm excited to see what he does there.
One more clip, because this one got me when he said it. So I just want everybody to hear it.
What was it like staring death in the face and dealing with the reality?
I didn't stare death in my face. I stared life. I stared life in the face, man. Man, you think I'm playing when I tell you I'm God's guy. I really am. I'm allowed to go through these trials and tribulations so that I could touch and reach and bless people with my words, with the energy, with that thing that God gave me. So I never thought about no death. I had to make a will because I want to be a business. I want to be a good steward, for my kids and for my family. But no, I got too much life to be thinking about death. Too much life. I got too much life in me, and I got work to do. We got to win the third championship. You talking about death? No. God definitely ain't getting ready to take me before that.
They got to win a Durham championship, Ari. Colorado, one of my favorite Week 1 games is Colorado, Georgia Tech. I love that one. Right now, Colorado 3.5-point dog at home, but Deion's going to be there. That's all that really matters. That was inspiring to hear, and I'm glad he was willing to go public with that and probably help a lot of people. So we'll see what happens when the Buffs play Georgia Tech. But Ari, now we got to talk about some other Week 1 games because we have some interesting line moves. Let's talk Week 1. Ari, let's talk some actual football and possibly some gambling. We have Week 1 line moves. The spreads came out months ago, but now there's, real information trickling in and the lines are starting to change. And I think it's getting very interesting in a couple of places. For example, Baylor Auburn. Now a pick'em or Baylor slightly favored, depending on where you look. How are you feeling about that?
I was just reminiscing in my head right now that we're 3 weeks away from our pick show. We're there. Yeah, this is to me one of the more intriguing matchups of the entire first week because I feel like Baylor is a team, at least in the Big 12 sphere, that people think has a chance to win that conference. And Auburn obviously is heading into an important season. And I think that from a athlete standpoint, Andy, you're pretty high on Baylor. On Auburn, but Baylor.
I'm high on both of them from an athlete standpoint. So the Shrine Bowl 1000 got released today, and Baylor's got a lot of guys that are potential NFL guys. So they've got 17 guys on the Shrine Bowl 1000. That doesn't mean you're going to get drafted because obviously there's only 272 draft picks, but that's a good indication that they're more talented than they have been.
Really high on Auburn's NFL top tier talent in the pen.
Oh yeah, Auburn at the top end is really really good. Keldrick Falk is right up there. Xavier Chaplin, the offensive tackle they got from Virginia Tech, and then of course Cam Coleman doesn't even count in that because he's only a sophomore.
So the thing that I think we're going to find here is top end talent going to come together at Auburn, or is being a functional team with a quarterback advantage, at least that we understand right now, enough to win at home on Friday night. That's because Auburn.
And it's really,
players, but they've kind of been all over.
If Jackson Arnold is significantly better than what we saw at Oklahoma, then I don't know that the Sawyer Robertson quarterback advantage is that big. So Sawyer Robertson is one of the better quarterbacks in the Big 12 and really lit it up in the second half of last season. Because remember, they went into the last season thinking Daquan Finn was going to be the starter, the Toledo transfer. Robertson takes the job, It was Jake Spavital's first year as the OC. Like the offense really came together. They won their last 6 regular season games. So this is a great matchup here because it is Baylor, which figured out what it was, got functional, and should be one of the better teams in the Big 12 against Auburn, which we don't know what it'll be yet, but we think if everything comes together, they could beat anybody.
Right. So I think like this game in particular is kind of like which side of the aisle are you leaning? Are you leaning on like Auburn's going to figure it out and Jackson Arnold's really good? Or is Auburn going to be semi-dysfunctional offensively still, and Baylor is going to continue to ride the wave of the hot second half of the season that they had last year? What side? Like, I know we're not supposed to be picking yet, but where are you leaning?
I'm leaning Auburn, but it's crazy because this is about as close to a pick 'em as you can get. BetMGM has Baylor favored by 1, but if you go to the money line, it's Auburn minus 105, Baylor minus 115.
Yeah, I mean, it is a
barely any difference.
Yeah. You have the road, aspect of this. I know Baylor fans are fired up, but like if Auburn goes in and loses this game, like Hugh's in bubbling hot water, right? I don't know about hot seat, but hot water. I don't know which one.
They would have to. They would have to, of course, beat Illinois State and South Alabama, but then you got to go beat Oklahoma after that. That's because then if you're 2-2 going into at Texas A&M, that's a terrible place to be because you're at Texas A&M, then you play Georgia. Like it doesn't really get any easier. So I think it's important to get that figured out.
And I don't know. I'm sorry if I missed you saying this. I have this tendency to like not hear things sometimes, and I don't know why. Both in text and in but it's important to talk about where the line started, which was Baylor was a 2.5-point dog at one point at some places, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, this isn't just like, because like a lot of the moves that we're seeing are a point or a half a point and not crossing over key numbers. Like this is a pretty substantial move.
Yeah.
And I don't know
Ball State, by the way, not Illinois State for Auburn. I'm getting my Cardinals confused.
Yeah.
So,
and I didn't notice that you were wrong when you said that because obviously I'm not a very good logos guy, but that does look like Ball State, by the way. Like it
is Ball State. It's a very aggressive, italicized Cardinal. I apologize to everyone in Muncie.
Did Ball State change its logo recently?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's why I'm confused.
Yeah. So this is not the only interesting move, by the way. We've got a couple more. We've got, let's see, Miami's come back toward Notre Dame a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be a fun one. I believe we're going to be at this game. So Miami is now a 2.5-point dog at home. They were a 3-point dog at home. So that one moving a little bit. Miami is fascinating to me because we don't know what they're going to be. We suspect their defense will be better. We suspect their offense will be not as electrifying as it was, but still pretty good. But this is the test right out of the gate, and you kind of know what Notre Dame's going to be.
Yeah, and semi-aggressive move here because you're coming off of a key number from 3 to 2.5. You don't really have that cute little push field goal safety blanket anymore. And like Notre Dame, we do know what they are. I think Notre Dame is going to be very good, and you understand and accept that notion despite the fact they're making a quarterback switch. I think Miami is far more of a question mark in terms of, are they going to be an ACC contender and potential outside playoff pusher, or are they going to be an 8-4 team that's solid but not nearly as good as they were last year? And I think that Miami fans, I've picked up on, Andy, are pretty excited and amped up for this year and feel like they have a real chance to do something. And I don't know if I'm there yet. Like I think like if I had to pick this game right now, I would pick Notre Dame winning it and winning it comfortably. And when I say comfortably, like 7 to 10 points, like not around the spread. What do you think? Like, where are you on this one?
Miami's really talented, like individual players talented, but we need to see it all together because they took a lot out of the transfer portal. They had to fix the defense. The defense was obviously the glaring liability last season. So they bring in Corey Heatherman from Minnesota to run it, but also brought in all of these guys to basically revamp their secondary. Their D-line pretty much homegrown. I mean, Akeem Messidor came from West Virginia like 4 years ago, but in the back end, it's completely revamped. So that's the thing. We just don't know what that defense is going to look like. And Notre Dame, it'll be interesting because we know Notre Dame's offensive line is going to be good. We think they're going to be able to run the ball, but this is a good Miami D line. Like, I think they're going to force CJ Carr to throw him, to throw a little bit to beat him. So
yeah, the one thing that you can say about this game is that Notre Dame made a lot of hay last year pushing people around up front, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do that.
It's just not that easy when it's Ruben Bain and and Messidor and
both sides of the line of scrimmage, not just offense.
Oh yeah, and Miami's offensive line is really good too. That's the other part. I'm not as worried about Carson Beck in terms of will he be protected? He's going to be protected. Miami should be able to run the ball too. So then Miami's younger receivers, the guys that got out of the portal like Keelan Marion, like how do they do? That's the big question. So really it's Notre Dame's passing game, which is an unknown. We think they're going to be better because CJ Carr probably has a better arm than Riley Leonard. We saw Jaden Greathouse really show up there at the end of the playoff. We think Jaden Ball will be good because he's healthy. They've got transfers from Virginia and Wisconsin that they like. So that's the thing, is which of these passing offenses will shine and which of these defenses will give.
Yeah, and I also feel like too, like whoever wins this football game, like if Miami somehow finds a way to win this one at home, which in a less than a field goal spread, like I think that might change and shift the way that we're viewing them this year. And I always make the case that people have a hard time letting go of what happened the year before in the negative, and sometimes I think that's also true in the positive, in that like Notre Dame is a finished, polished product that's going to go make a deep run this year. I obviously anticipate that they'll be very good, but I don't know that it's a guaranteed win by any stretch of the imagination here. And if Carson Beck comes out and is healthy and plays well, they run the ball well, they've got good lines of scrimmage and some pretty good dynamic playmakers at receiver and in the backfield of the secondary. Like they have to fix what went wrong back there, but they went out and they replaced a lot of guys in the back end of their defense. Like Miami is a pretty interesting question mark.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this game. Another one that I'm very excited. This is probably the one I think if you ask most people, this is the one they're most excited about in week 1, and that is LSU-Clemson. You talk about moving off a key number. This one opened at Clemson favored by 3. Clemson now favored by 3.5. So that's another move off a key number.
Oh, it got bigger for Clemson.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't know really what happened other than some instincts to cause that. There's been no news out of Clemson or LSU that has really caused me to think any differently about this game.
Yeah. I think sometimes too, it's just like the infusion of money. We're getting closer to the season, people are, but I feel like the real line movements that are going to tell us something are going to happen the week of the game, because that's when they tend to happen. I think I put both of these teams in my playoff.
Mm-hmm.
I anticipate that LSU is going to be very good. Like I'm starting to come around, if I haven't gotten there already, to the idea that this year's Clemson team is going to feel like old Clemson teams. Like, are you there with me?
I think they are, but this game's going to tell us a lot, because the last time we saw Clemson's defense, it was getting shredded by Texas in the first round of the playoff, and it was just not a good defense last year. And there's a reason that Dabo Swinney fired Wes Goodwin and brought in Tom Allen. I think bringing in Tom Allen is going to be maybe the most important offseason move anybody made, because Clemson didn't really need to improve its personnel. It needed to improve its scheme. Now, I think it did improve its personnel by going out and getting Will Help from Purdue, which puts somebody on the other side of TJ Parker that scares you, allows you to move Peter Wood or keep Peter Woods inside. Now, he played inside some last year, but he also had to play outside some last year. He doesn't need to be playing on the edge. He needs to be interior. So that's a scary defensive line.
LSU's number one knock on their offense last year was that they abandoned the run in critical moments and put too much on Garrett Nussmeier, correct?
Yes.
Now they're opening the season against the best defensive line in college football. All 4 people on that line
with a revamped offensive line. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to be a bad offensive line. It just means, hey, they lost Will Campbell, who was a first-round tackle, Emory Jones, Garrett Dellinger. So they lost some guys that are really experienced. So
they're going to have a test right out of the gate too of
are
they going to be able to win football games in a different way this year? So that's the thing that kind of scares me the most about this LSU matchup is that you want to do something different. You want to be able to run the ball more efficiently, and you want to do it on your own terms. And you're going to probably go against the toughest team in the ACC and maybe one of the 5 toughest teams in the country to run the ball on right out of the gate. So, you want to see LSU show that it made strides and improvements in the running game while also, giving Garrett Nussmeier a little bit of a break because they did put too much on him.
Yeah, I don't want this to turn into the Florida game for them because that was a case where Florida's D-line was whipping LSU's O-line up front, and because they wouldn't run the ball, it put Nussmeier in a pretty tough situation. And it was I think that was the most sacks they gave up all season. I think they gave 6 sacks. But if you go back to the Texas A&M game, Texas A&M also had a very good defensive line, very good pass rush. And while they didn't always get home, they scared Nussmeier into some very bad throws that turned into interceptions. So you got to protect Nussmeier, and one way to protect him is by running the ball a little bit. So we'll see if they.
How much do they have to take off of his plate percentage wise? You think 20%?
I don't think it has to be like you don't have to become a 60% run team. You can still be a 55% throw team and be fine with a dude like that. But you got to be able to run the ball a little bit. You have to force the defense, to be honest, because you can't just have when at the end of that Florida game, Florida did not even think they were going to run. There was no thought of it at all. They're sending guys, and that's not going to work. Like you have got to scare them a little bit in the run game.
Yeah,
you got to have them guys. You got to have them move some people down in the box because, like with Florida, they could set up their linebackers in their secondary in a way that like they know they're dropping back, like they're not having to fit the run. It makes it easier.
I don't think it's a percentage thing. I think that was a stupid question on my part. I think it's, can you run the ball on 4th and 1 and be successful at it? Like there are times last year where LSU, had running situations and, they threw in situations where if you were a good running team, you might have been able to, pick up the first down on the ground. And it's like the ability to do it when you need to is more important than doing it to a certain amount of times.
And if LSU can do that against Clemson, guess what? LSU is a playoff team. Like,
and if they can
they're going to make the playoff.
Yeah. If they can, and they're going to be tested right out of the gate. A lot of times too, when you're trying to find yourself and do something different, you like to have a few games to ease into trying it and to come out there with maybe the most physical test you could possibly face outside of your conference and maybe even inside your conference right out of the gate is always a strong test. And it's on the road too. Do you want to get into which is the real Death Valley conversation, or do you want to save that for later?
Well, why don't we just let them decide it over the next 2 years? Like if somebody sweeps the home and home, I think they probably get to claim it.
Death Valley is a really great name. It's a shame there's 2 of them. I don't know. I've never seen a game at either of these stadiums. Hopefully that changes at some point. But this is a really exciting matchup, and one that's being unnecessarily overshadowed by Ohio State, Texas.
Yeah, I don't know if this is being overshadowed. See, the beauty of this, because I think we think about this as like people who go to games and cover them, and if you pick one, you can't go to the other.
Yeah, that's true. You get to watch
both. People are at home watching this on TV. They're going to watch both because one's at noon and one's at 7:30.
Yeah, I put this number 1 on my most excited to watch list on the offseason, or the best non-conference game, and people went insane.
I think it's true just because I actually agree with you, because here's the thing with Texas and Ohio State, like no matter what happens, neither fan base is jumping off a cliff. They're like, all right, we're good. It'll all get figured out.
And I think that we're both accepting the fact that they're both of those teams is going to be in the hunt, if not a shoe-in to make the playoff, no matter who wins. I feel like we're going to learn something about 2 teams that we think conceivably could make a run. Although,
and the LSU losing streak in season openers, which predates Brian Kelly, by the way, I think that adds so much spice to LSU-Clemson because they're either going to break this thing, which is a huge cause for celebration at LSU, and it says, "Oh, LSU's for real," or they're going to lose a 6th season opener in a row, and it's going to be like, what the hell?
Has a team or program that's as accomplished as LSU ever lost 6 openers in a row in the history of football?
I don't think so, but the thing is, like, part of this is LSU could just schedule an easy game here and break the streak. Like that. This is them challenging themselves.
Yeah, challenge yourself out of the gate. I don't know that all of the losses were major challenges, but most of them were.
Yeah, the UCLA one, I don't know that was particularly great UCLA team, but yeah, it's crazy. I just at some point you got to win one of these. But this may be the hardest one of the bunch. Maybe the Florida State team that ended up going 13-0.
I think if we get a high quality football game, and it's 34-31 or something, and both teams look good, and it just like has that feeling of a high powered game, that I think the fan bases will probably be rational here. Like I don't know if like this will be. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit.
The fan bases will not be rational, especially LSU.
I don't know. Like, I think that like playing a highly contested game and losing close to another playoff team and for opener, will probably cause some freakouts in the first week. But I think that it would be a good sign for both of these teams to play a highly competitive game that's decided in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, if a team loses this one close, I'm not.
Yeah, it's not like, oh my God, like
I'm not saying their season's over. Let's put it that way.
Their seasons are not going to be over. But this is a huge test for if one gets blown out, though. Oh boy,
Katie barred the door. All right, one more of these week 1 lines because you wrote about one of the players on one of these teams last week. Actually, over the weekend. So Utah at UCLA. To start the season, Utah started off as a 5.5-point favorite. They're now up to a 6.5-point favorite. 5-point favorite to 6.5-point favorite. So you have a 1.5-point line jump. You wrote about Nico Iamaleava, his appearance at Big Ten Media Days.
We haven't spoken about that yet, by the way, so we can build it into this if you want.
Let's talk.
Did you see? Obviously, you saw because this is what you do for a living. But we haven't spoken about it yet, and I didn't ask you what your thoughts were about how he said that the move was about his family and being closer to home.
Sure, of course it was. I mean, his family lived in California the entire time, so why did it happen when it did, not at a time when he could have made more money?
Maybe they were thinking about relocating to Knoxville, and they both decided they wanted to live in California.
I mean, they always could have relocated to Knoxville. They were flying back and forth to Knoxville all the time. So,
did you read what I wrote yet?
I did. And I think you're right. It doesn't matter why. It really doesn't matter at this point.
Also, too, like lying. What did people want him to say? Oh, we made a terrible negotiation move. We wanted more money when I was undeserving, and it blew
all our leverage. Didn't realize when we had leverage and tried to do it when we had no leverage. I know.
But also, too, like this will, and it was a huge, important part of our offseason. And I'm super,
we're super grateful to Nico for giving us something to talk about for like a month.
There's no telling whether UCLA is going to be any good this year, but this is a pivotal crossroad for Iamaleava personally. There are 2 ways this can go. He goes to UCLA, performs poorly, and his career flames out. He then becomes known as specifically the person that was greedy and torpedoed his career over an NIL deal that went south. Or he elevates UCLA's program, makes them must-watch television, and eventually gets drafted in a high spot in the NFL draft. Then Tennessee fiasco becomes a blip on an otherwise promising career.
Those aren't the only options. There's also, he's just
I think if he's and doesn't get drafted, it'll be option 1. He performs.
Oh, he can be and get drafted in the 6th round.
No, I know, but 6th round.
He's tall with a big arm.
No, I think it's a virtual lock. He'll get drafted in the 6th round.
Yeah.
But if he gets drafted in the 6th round, people are going to be like, oh, well, if he would have stayed at Tennessee and, been in the SEC and had better players around him, he would have gotten drafted in the 2nd round. Like, I don't think that his story ends or his memory as a college player ends if he's a 6th round pick, considering where he started. I think that he needs to play his way into the top 3 rounds for himself to not be, because like this is about legacy. And And how is he going to be remembered, I think, is the most important thing for a college player, right?
Right.
And you don't want to be remembered as a greedy guy who stuck his hand in the cookie jar and got the lid slammed on his fingers. I don't know if that's, and if you are drafted in the 6th round, I think that's what your perception, or you'll be the person you'll be perceived to be.
Well, we don't know what he's going to be at UCLA. And I think this game is a great test because Utah, for a non-conference opponent, is probably about as good a simulation as a Big Ten team as you're going to get. And it's our first look at Devin Dampier in Utah's offense, which we are obviously very excited about because, we talked about how dynamic he is as a runner. And man, if you can't stop the run, Utah's going to run all over you.
It is so funny that we are like 3 years removed or 2 years removed from the UCLA Utah not being in the Pac-12. That like even when you said this is a non-conference matchup, like I still jolted. I'm like, what? I was like, oh yeah, they're not in the Pac-12 anymore. Like, how many years do you think it's going to take for me to like my brain to revert back to these teams being in different conferences?
It's going to be hard. This is because I look at Utah, UCLA, and obviously Utah wasn't in the Pac-12 that long, but I look at this like it's a conference game. That my brain sees it, and we'll probably see it that way for 5-10 years.
Yeah, sounds. It's a beautiful uniform color matchup too. Red blue is always great.
Okay, fantastic.
About the game though, I think we're pretty high on Utah this year.
I think we are pretty high on Utah. So this line move going another 1.5 toward Utah is not surprising to me. I think, and we may see it go a little more.
Yeah. I like Utah in this matchup right now.
Now, speaking of our new schedule that we talked about at the top of the show, we will be talking about this game as it is going on our first live show, week 1.
11 p.m. Eastern time. Love it.
11:30 p.m. Eastern time.
iPad right over here talking to you.
That's right.
Making a point about something. Iamaliava throws a dart, and I'm over here like, whoa, did you see that?
Yeah.
That's special. That's not changing.
We may be together, and so I think we'll have a very large TV in front of us.
We will be together. You're right. Yeah, we will be together.
So we may not have to iPad that one.
I'm coming to Florida. Are you excited?
I'm thrilled. Just what we need in Florida, another weirdo.
Yeah. Well, hopefully nobody throws an alligator through a fast food.
It was only a 3-foot alligator. That Wendy's employee, I'm sure, was not worried. If that Wendy's employee was a true Floridian, it's like, 3 feet, whatever.
Is a 3-foot alligator? Are there 3-foot alligators who are fully adult, or was it because it was a kid?
I think that's a baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, 3-foot alligator coming through the drive-through window is still a little freaky. Little freaky.
Yeah. What do?
If you don't know what the hell we're talking about, Google alligator Wendy's drive-through.
Florida. Add Florida.
The personification of, but sir, this is a Wendy's.
That's the only state or the only territory in the entire world where that could occur.
Oh, it could happen in Louisiana, parts of Georgia.
No, that's a Florida thing. Don't separate yourself. Embrace it.
All right. Another thing we embrace great rants on this show.
Love a good rant.
And our friend Barry Trammell, legendary Oklahoma-based columnist. He's with the Tulsa World now, but he probably knows sports in the state of Oklahoma better than anyone alive. He's phenomenal. And he went on that SEC podcast with SEC Mike and had a really interesting discussion about scheduling. Because Barry made a point that I've been trying to make and not make very well, that I think Barry made better than I ever could, about college football's regular season. So here's Barry.
But we spend way too much time talking about the playoff and its format. Way too much time. People, I don't think, understand the illness of college football, which is the regular season is not near as good as everybody says it is. The SEC plays only 8 conference games, right? That means 4 non-conference games, and 2 or 3 teams are playing 4 are playing 2 legitimate non-conference opponents. The rest are just playing 1. Oklahoma's playing Temple, Kent State, and Illinois State. Illinois State, 1AA, might be the best of those 3. I mean, Temple stinks, and Kent State's the worst FBS team. Literally, they're terrible. That's 3 out of 12. That's 25% of the season is exhibition. Literally. And that's most of the way it is in the SEC and other conferences too. But when 25% of the SEC games are games you don't want to watch, you don't care about, you know what's going to happen, I wish that's what we would treat and talk about and do something about. You know, I got all fired up when I heard Drinkwitz say he wanted to play 9 conference games, and then we got to talking about the rivalries. And you know, I give it up to Arkansas. Poor Sam Pittman, they gave him a tough schedule. It's tough in the conference, and then he's got to play Notre Dame and at Memphis. I mean, that's a team that can beat you, and it's right there on the border. So I want to see more good games. You know, I was doing a lot of research about Kansas-Missouri rivalry today, which I knew a lot about it, but I refreshed myself. And wouldn't it be cool if everybody just played good games? Guess who the Kent State Golden Flash or Golden Flames or whatever they are? Guess who they don't play? They don't play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay's got to play somebody good every Sunday. Now, the worst team in the league can beat you. How much fun would that be if we played a 9 Who was it? Somebody in the Big 12 came up with it was Kalani Sitake at BYU. He came up with a great idea. He said, I want to play 9 conference games and then play 1 game a year, 1 game each year against all 3 of the other conferences. I want to play a Big Ten team, an SEC team, an ACC team. What a schedule we'd have then. Every game's good. And yet, here comes Tennessee Tech and Illinois State and all these teams, you know, riding down the lane. And the poor people on I feel sorry for ESPN and SEC Network, because those guys got to show highlights and talk about the game as if it was a real athletic event. You know, the Big 12's gone into business with the World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE. And I said, why is an athletic operation going into business with something that's fake sports? Why would you even want your name associated with that?
I want to see where he was going with the wrestling thing. I'm surprised you guys cut that off.
Well, I mean, we can't steal their entire podcast. And thanks to SEC Mike for letting us use that clip. But yeah, that was the point that I've tried to make over the years that I didn't make well enough, I don't think, is everybody keeps talking about how sacred college football's regular season is, but when a quarter of it is crap, it's not sacred. So schedule better games, yes. How do we get people to schedule better games? This is where Barry and I diverge a little bit, because as you've seen and as we've noticed talking to people as we go to these various media days, the postseason format and how people schedule regular season games are inextricably linked. The reason these games look bad, like go back into the 70s, power schools played other power schools out of conference. But as soon as the BCS started and everybody had to go undefeated, you saw some really dodgy non-conference schedules start popping up.
Throughout all of college football history, though, you had to win a national title, you had to be a 1 loss or a fewer team, right? That's always been the case,
right? But when they crystallized it with you have to be the number 1 or number 2 team in the polls to go to the BCS championship game, otherwise you won't possibly get recognized. And also, yeah, part of it was they figured out how to game the system as it went on. In the 70s and 80s, they just weren't worried about that. They were like, hey, what will sell some tickets?
So there's one. So like, I think it's impossible to disagree with the point that he made because it's true. Here's the thing that I think we need to make sure is said and how I feel. I don't know that the regular season of college football is held sacred because everybody thinks that every week is a quality matchup. I think that the regular
that was the talking point for roughly 40 years.
It's never been my talking point. I liked the regular season because you can't lose. And it doesn't matter whether you're playing Tennessee Tech or Tennessee.
Would you rather it be you can't lose, or would you rather it be people play good games? Because what Barry's suggesting, everybody plays 10 power conference games at least.
Yeah.
You better get used to teams losing. Like, you better get used to 9-3 in the playoff.
Yeah, and I think I even just misspoke now. It's not so much like you can't lose, it's so much that there's consequences to the games. So if they did a top 12 and everybody played a loaded schedule like Barry was describing, I would be okay with that. I don't think that everybody,
because there would be consequences.
I'm not trying to protect the Texas Kent State game or the Oklahoma Kent State game. I'm trying to protect indifference to the result of whatever game is being played.
Right.
So like that, and I think there's a distinction between those two things. So I don't know if the system, like if you did theoretically have a system where everybody plays 9 conference games and everybody has to play 1 non-conference game against one of the other powers, that would be great. And every week would be jam-packed and it's exciting. But if that were the system, would you be able to adequately pick a top 12 without it getting impossible? Like that's the thing that's difficult to me. It's like, so what's the solution to the problem? Okay, let's do what Barry Trammell says. Okay, then what? Then, I mean, we can't dismiss what it means for the postseason.
I think more good games is, like, if we're going to just use Occam's razor, more good games is better than less good games. So I'll take the more good games, please. If we have to choose between the two.
Yeah, but if you get more good games, does it make the current system for how we crown a national championship untenable?
I don't think it makes it untenable. I still don't really care whether 16 makes it or 17 or 18 make. I don't care.
But like, what I'm trying to get to the bottom of, though, is if we agree more good games is good. Of course, we're talking about Clemson and LSU. Why?
Right.
It's
exactly.
a good game. I don't think that anybody needs that to be explained. The thing that needs to be explained, though, is if you were go to that system, would you have to expand the playoff out further because everybody would lose more and there would be more 9-3 teams? Or do you still think that we could choose a top 12 from that?
I don't think you have to go past 16, which is where they want to go anyway.
So your perfect system then
I'd be fine with 12 too in that.
16 with more power non-conference matchups.
Yeah. 10 or 11.
And then what does that mean for the separation of the two? And then you're okay with the group of 5 and some of the smaller conferences just not having as much money. And that's okay. I'm okay with it too. But like,
I'd rather see good games. Like, and I'm sorry if that offends some people, but
yeah,
I'd rather see the big money teams play the big money teams.
I'm more concerned with Oklahoma playing a game they could conceivably lose that week than like funding Kent State's athletic program.
Correct. It's not Oklahoma's responsibility. So,
yeah.
By the way, did you notice we did have Illinois State logo in there? So now we see the difference between the Illinois State Cardinal and the Ball State Cardinal. And I apologize again to everybody in Muncie.
It's very simple. Yeah, so it's like, my favorite rants are rants that make you like impassionedly fired up. And it's like, that was a good rant. And I think everything he said was spot on. But like, what's the solution to the problem other than fix the schedule? And what other problems does it create is an interesting thing. I don't feel like
I love that
counting the table.
This is what college football has become. Someone points out the obvious, just schedule better games. And we're like, but what problems will that cause? There are no problems when you just schedule good games. There are no problems. There are only fun games.
There's a lot of people out there that like say things like the death of college football is we talk about the playoff too much. Like, I hate when people say that. Like, the entire point of competition is to win. Like,
you win a championship. Yeah.
I love talking about the playoff. It's literally
there's no other sport in the world where we don't talk about winning the championship.
Like,
so guess what?
Thing that you should care about. Like, and I understand that not everybody's in a position to do it, but like, I don't think we talk about the playoff enough. Honestly, it's the whole thing. And it's like, why are games good? Because you love the spirit of competition. Then go down to your local bar and watch tug of war. But like, we're in a sport right now, and I want to know who's going to win the national title. Everything we talk about, recruiting, games, results, playoff.
Well, and the thing is, if you go to the bar to watch the tug of war, which, by the way, this sounds like a hell of a
Sounds like something you'd find in Fort Worth, if I'm being honest.
Hell of a
But,
promotion for your. Yeah, but you want to know who's going to win and move on to the next round
you want
of the
good
Tug War
games and
tournament.
go to a little league game and watch a baseball game where the score is 14-11, where there's high stakes involved. And I cannot separate stakes with good games because stakes is what inherently makes good games to me. Like you want to watch high level, then go watch the NFL, Andy. Like that, it's the highest level competition that you could. But I want to watch.
And people do more than college football, by the way.
But stakes are what make good games to me, not the level of competition.
Oh, I think it's the level of competition and stakes. I think I want
lead
both.
into higher level of competition.
But you have to have. You can't just start with the tournament. So you got to have a season. Those games are going to be inherently lower stakes, but I still want them to be good competition.
The problem, though, for me, more than anything, is we are constantly trying to solve a problem. And I got to be honest with you. When it was a 4-team playoff and 5 conferences existed, I thought it was pretty great. Like, I didn't know that there was...
I still thought the regular season was... there was a good chunk of garbage in the regular season. And if they can get rid of that, that'd be great.
There are also 5 or 6 or 7 times as many games to choose from too. So like it's like the NFL is a limited property with 32 teams. You might have a crappy matchup over here, but there's
no
still
excuse
really
to schedule a bad game. So you'll have something else to watch.
But I just think
don't watch us this week. You'll have something else.
I want to watch. I'm with you, Andy. I'm not disagreeing with you that like every game should be entertaining or good. The only thing that I think needs to be protected in this thought process is creating a system or keeping a system that makes it easy or makes it clear who should be competing for a championship. Because if you remove it will be
clear at the top. It will not be clear near the cut line, nor will it ever be clear near the cut line. People will always get pissed off near the cut line.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, like that's the thing.
Basketball has a 68-team tournament where the 35th best at-large team gets left out,
but when
they get pissed.
If we went to 16, which seems like it's a high possibility, and everybody played a power opponent every week, I think 12 through 22 would look the same.
I agree.
And that would be really, really
15
hard.
through 35 already looks the same, Ari.
But not in record. Like if you got to, I think I would rather keep the system with the games the way that they are and have a clear way to manage.
So you'd rather have some bad games in there because it makes it easier for your mind to comprehend.
The only thing I would care about is having a system where there are a clear-cut choice to make for the committee that everybody can agree on.
There will never be a clear-cut choice near the cut line.
There's fake drama. They made the right decision last year, and it was very clear who they should have picked. Like
there will never be a clear. Were people mad?
Don't you think? Yeah, people always get mad. People get mad when their favorite teams don't.
Yes, people will always get mad.
We are agreeing. People who don't have dogs in the fight to be mad. Like the Florida State-Alabama thing made me mad. Like that controversy is different than the controversy that we had last year. Was a contrived controversy.
But what I'm saying is there will always be people mad. So why are you letting that stop you from scheduling better games? Like you're arguing for crappier games.
I'm not arguing.
It makes it easier to pick the 15th and 16th best teams. That's the stupidest argument ever.
No, I'm arguing for creating a system that doesn't interject more subjectivity. I just wrote.
You are arguing against good games because you want the committee to be able to figure out who number 15 and number 16 are. That is what you're saying.
I'm saying I don't. If you think that you can have a system where all the games are good and still have clear cut, then I'm for that. I don't want you to.
They're not clear cut now, so we may as well just schedule better games.
I disagree with you completely. They haven't made a single identifiable mistake in a 10-year period that you could come up with outside of one, which was
good. Since they're so infallible, they can watch better games and do it then.
Andy, you are creating Florida State, Alabama every year, and I don't want that. That's all I'm saying.
You are arguing for crappier games. It's a bad argument. If your point is they should continue scheduling crappy games instead of scheduling better games, you need to look deeper.
I can concede what you just said. Now do me a favor and come over here. If we at the end of the year,
I will not argue for crappier games.
If we got to the end of the year
And every year we were faced with 3 or 4 scenarios that were just a duplication of Florida State, Alabama. That would suck. And I'm not saying that the good
Between
games
16 and 17, I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm not saying that every year is going to create that. And maybe it won't under that system. But I would fear.
So in summation, you want to continue to schedule crappy games because the committee members are too stupid to figure it out. I would like better games because I think the committee members are smart enough to figure it out.
It's not too stupid to figure it out. It's flipping a coin. I don't want them to flip coins. They only had to flip a coin one time in their entire existence. I don't want them to have to flip a coin 3 times a year. And I'm not saying that was 100% going to happen, but I'm more concerned about clear-cut choices at the end of the year than I am about 100% power of opponents every week. I want it to be as clear-cut as possible at the end of the year.
I want better games
because I don't want a bunch of teams at the end of the year who did everything that they could to get in and then not get in.
I don't care about making the committee's life easier. They get free bacon. Their life's already easy.
It's not about making the committee's life easier. It's about the sanctity of like competition and like getting in. It's about making sure that if you earned it to get in, that you get in.
So you want less good games to protect the sanctity of competition.
I want less. Now, you keep trying to like put words in my mouth. I'm not saying
boiling your argument down to its constituent parts, and it falls apart.
I'm not saying that I prefer bad games. I'm saying I prefer a system
which requires more bad games. Which requires more bad games.
So you agree with me though that the more bad games schedule makes it easier, right? Do we agree on that? At the end of the year to pick who should be in and who should not be?
And that's incredibly stupid.
So
I don't care if it's easier for them to pick between 16 and 17.
Where there are 12, 8, and 4 teams, and we have to pick between the 4, 12, and 18, or 8 and 4 teams. Does that make sense? Does it? At least what I'm saying makes sense.
It's wrong, but it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's wrong, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
better games are better. Worse games are worse. Yeah. It's a very simple argument.
Yeah. You are always for more good games, and I'm always for more good games too. But I also want the sport.
Except you'd like more crappy games in this case.
I want the sport to make sense. You don't.
Best teams playing the best teams doesn't make sense to you?
The best teams playing the best teams to create a muddled system that we can't crown a champion in is worse to me. Yes.
We can crown a champion.
I don't like chaos.
Champion just fine.
I like reasonability.
You like crappier games.
I don't like
Ari in favor of crappier games. Andy against them.
Yeah. I don't want teams that did enough to earn it to get left out because of subjectivity. That's
you didn't earn it if you're the number 16 or 17 team.
Yeah.
You're just in a bucket with everybody else.
I think that'll extend to 10 through 17. I don't think it's going to be just one. There was a clear cut.
Okay.
There was a clear
cut. Don't care.
Yeah.
If you don't like it because you got left out, win more games.
I think the worst thing that happened to college football in the last decade was the Florida State-Alabama thing. I think that's the worst thing that has happened to our game in 10 years.
It was terrible.
Yeah. I don't want any more of that.
I can promise you an undefeated power conference champion is never going to be left out of the 12 or 16 team playoff. So don't worry about that. It's never going to happen.
Yeah. But I like being able to say the committee is really good and hasn't made a mistake. I don't want to have an annual debate about the 4 teams that were left out because they picked 4 subjectively.
There's always going to be a debate about them, whether you agree with it or not.
Don't you think that would suck, though? Can you at least acknowledge that would suck if you had to pick 4 teams out of 8 and they were all identical?
It would suck if I was a committee member, but I'm not. I would rather see good games.
No, I'm asking you, Andy, as a college football fan. Do you think it would suck if we flipped the coin?
No, having seen all those fun non-conference games in the early season would have made me very happy.
Yeah. I don't ever go to bed at night on Saturday thinking that was an entertaining day.
I don't either, but it could always be more entertaining.
Yeah. I guess if we get your system, we can have 3.5 hour recaps instead of 2 hour recaps.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Producer River says no. Producer River says no 3.5 hours.
I also think too, and I'm happy that was like a good natural disagreement. And I like when those happen.
Yeah.
But I also think that we're missing the plot too, which is that when those crappy games turn into the best games of the year. It's like that NIU Notre Dame game is a crappy game.
The problem is they do that so rarely.
Season last year.
The problem is they do that so rarely that if Notre Dame is playing Baylor that week.
But I think
Or
you could
somebody
probably
like
say, how many times on average do you think a crappy game turns into a turn the channel to watch the end of it? Even if the favorite ends up winning. I think
I'd
it's at
say
least once a weekend, right?
I don't think it's once a weekend.
I mean, they're like teams that you don't think can win are in games in the second half every weekend.
That's true, but look, Purdue is one of those teams too, and that's not one of the teams we're talking about.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Maybe that's why I think that.
Yeah. So
it would be interesting to go.
There will still be underdogs in those situations. It's just these underdogs will be more heavily resourced, which probably increases the chance of an upset.
You would say that the NIU upset is probably the most drastic upset since Appalachian State. Was that what you're saying? Has there been another one like that in between?
It's a great question. I feel like I need to research that, but I would think it's in the top 3 since Appalachian State at the very least.
Yeah. I have like a bad taste in my mouth because of that conversation. Because like now you've like pushed me into a corner that I didn't want to be in. Like I'm not stumping for bad games.
Get better at debating.
But the one thing I want to say before you change the subject is I would favor the system before the schedule. That's all. I would want to protect the system before the schedule. That's how
I would favor good games over bad. And
you would rather have good games and an efficient system. I would rather have an efficient system over good games.
I don't think it changes the efficiency of the system at all. I just think you're making up a reason to not want good games.
If you don't think that it changes the efficiency of the system and wouldn't create a disaster of a selection committee process, then I have no argument. I'm with you.
Yeah, I know everybody wants some sort of objective. Like it would be very controversial there at the end.
And I like controversy, but I also what I don't like. You know what I don't like? As somebody who consumes a tremendous amount of like true crime content, like podcasts and stuff, or even like mysteries or whodunits or whatever. Like investing 8 or 10 hours of your time into hearing a story.
And they don't tell you who did it.
And like, hey, listen, Andy, this is a good analogy. I think I found something here.
Yeah.
And like episode 3 was really compelling and episode 4 was really compelling. And then at the end of the road, they don't know who did it or there's no insight.
But they play a tournament and someone wins. But so you get the insight.
Diminishes the quality of 3 and 4. Like I hate that. Like I hate getting to the end of the road and feeling not complete. And I feel like I don't know, like if we go back in time to the Florida State Alabama debacle, that we feel like the wrong team ultimately won the national title that year, which makes me feel better. But like that playoff to me was the worst playoff because
it was terrible. And that's why they don't do 4 anymore, or one of the reasons.
And I guess if your point is that could happen again, but it'll be between 16 and 13. Like
and it won't be someone who has an unassailable argument, because Florida State had an unassailable argument.
I just wouldn't want a system.
It still got left out.
I wouldn't want a system where there were 3 or 4 Florida States in the same year.
But there won't be, because they could have won more.
Yeah,
Florida State could not possibly have won any more than
that's
they did.
A good point. I'll give you that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Florida State was undefeated.
Yeah.
So
like I said, their argument was unassailable, and they still got left out.
You might have just won the argument. No, I'm a stubborn asshole. You might have just won the argument with that. Like I wasn't thinking clearly on that. Like they were undefeated and got screwed. Nobody will be undefeated and got screwed, regardless of how many good games.
Yeah, it'll be an 8-4 team getting screwed. Which if we're caping for the 8-4 teams, like
hey, listen, hands up. Like if I'm on the wrong side of something, like I think you got me there.
Well, at least I've won one argument this week, because at home I don't win any of them, so I feel vindicated here.
And I think that the most important key to arguments is if you're engaged in one and somebody creates a point that you didn't consider or that you were not thinking clearly on, and they present it to you, to be man enough to acknowledge it.
Absolutely. And you've done this. You've done that to me plenty of times. We got to talk about one more thing. We were Big 12 Media Days. We saw Dave Aranda, talk to him. A Dave Aranda quote was making the rounds over the weekend. He was at the Texas High School Coaches Association convention. And Dave Aranda, fan of The Wolf of Wall Street, like you and I are.
Love that movie.
Not sure I would have gone this way answering a recruiting question, but you guys, like, let's decode Dave Aranda. Let's play the clip. This is a question about recruiting that he's answering, and then we'll decode Dave Aranda afterward.
But there's a scene in The Wolf of Wall Street when they're talking about throwing midgets, and it's like, hey, this midget, can he, can he roll there? And he go, no, he doesn't roll. You throw him. You know what I mean? And they're made for throwing. And then after a while, they start talking, and they go, well, you know what? I think if you start talking, they may think they know we're making fun of them. The midgets may think that we're making fun of them. So then I'm gonna start. They may get mad at us, and then the guys go, well, what we need to do is make them think they're one of us. And they go, one of us, one of us. And I think that's the thing with coaching, call it recruiting, is it's that way. They talk about acquiring players, getting rid of players, just like that. And the whole thing underneath all that is they make them think they're one of us. You know what I mean? And it's like, but I don't know. Do you have to do that to win? That sucks. Yeah.
Shahan.
Okay.
What was he saying? Yeah, you help me with that, because I knew what he was talking. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that the one M word that was pretty commonly used back when Wolf of Wall Street the events were taking place. We have to tweak that one a little bit for 2025 audience, but I think what he's saying is, do you have to have this kind of fake, like we're all like this, you're one of us, to get somebody to come to your school, to get somebody to buy in? I don't think you have to do that now. We got money involved now. Like,
if I was very surprised he went down that road.
I've heard him. He is in conversation with me before. He has brought up Wolf of Wall Street.
Great movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's that scene though.
That scene. I mean, when I meet guys, I don't know. This has happened. Like if you meet new friends and like you have a lot in common with them. Like I have heard
one of us. Oh yeah.
Like that is 100%. A pretty. But like the midget aspect of it. Like, well,
again, there's that word again.
Yeah.
We don't use that word anymore.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't. Yeah. Okay. I used it though.
Yeah. So did Dave. 3 times, 4 times.
Right.
So I think you realize I'm in a press conference right now, and that's probably not great. But I'm deep into this thing, so we got to keep going.
Yeah, but to decode it, I don't necessarily believe that that's necessary anymore.
I don't either. I think the money piece of it, and I don't know if this is what Dave Aranda meant, but I actually think this might help Dave Aranda. The money piece of it takes a lot of the salesmanship out of recruiting. A lot of the hey, fake juice kind of thing. Like you don't have to be performative anymore. Now it's just, here's how you can help our team. Here's our offer.
I think that Dave Aranda would probably be an excellent, or has been an excellent recruiter in one-on-one settings. If you actually get to spend time with him, I think it would be easy to want to play for him. Like, I think that like the notion that you have to be performative or rah-rah or come up with crap like in a like excited type of way might work on some, but I don't know that was a necessity. Like, even if you go look at like the biggest, most powerful programs and their head coaches, a lot of them have very different personalities. Like Kirby Smart and Steve Sarkisian are very different people. You know, and I think that a lot of times, you know, you might like think about like at the height of the Urban Meyer Jim Harbaugh rivalry, like if they were recruiting against each other, like some people might not want to play for Urban Meyer. They don't like his style. They don't like the intensity. Maybe they want to play for a ball guy that drinks milk with a shirt off. Like, and like that's
right.
That's not a slight. I mean, not everybody is for everyone. The thing that I think that is most interesting about the one of us aspect is that might not necessarily be the case anymore when you get somebody to sign. But I think that if your team is going to be functional or your program is going to be healthy and it's going to work, you want them to feel that way after they come, right? Don't you want them to be in a simulation of, it's the same thing that we talk about in business.
Or when you go on your visit and you meet the players on the team, you're like, I could fit here.
Yeah, I mean, like Andy, like I've said this on the show before, but I'll say it again. It's like, when I was at the Athletic, I mean, I was all about the Athletic. Like that was my team, that was my squad. And when I left the Athletic and came to On3 for more money and to work with you again and to try to do something, new, like I had remorse and was worried about like, hey, that's not my team. I'm going to a new team, but guess what, buddy? I've got my life is better. And guess who I'm
and it's a great team here.
It's a great team, and I'm happy to be on this team now. But like, I
think we may have sent the one of us gift to you when you signed.
It's possible, but like the problem that would make it awful though is that if I took more money, went to On3 and then hated my team or hated my setting or hated my place, and then all of a sudden it becomes an untenable, awful work environment. I still think that you want people to take the money, come to your program, and then when they leave that program, be loyal to that program forever. Like when
I feel like that was the place for me. That became home for me. And then it's interesting because we joke about the family atmosphere and all that because that's what every recruit used to say when they come in. It's a family atmosphere. You still kind of do that, even though there's money involved.
Yeah. Yeah. Create an environment that has a good package and then have an environment that follows through on what that is outside of just the money.
Also, everybody watched Wolf of Wall Street if you haven't. Like I watched it again fairly recently, Ari, and I know you watch it. You that's one of those
seen it a million times. Yeah,
it is so freaking good.
It's the thing about that movie is that people went into it thinking that it was a drama, and then the second you realize it's actually a comedy, you can enjoy it for what it is. And I think that it probably
because people are like, wait, I hate these people. Well, yes, because they're caricatures. Yeah. And you're supposed to laugh at them, not sympathize with them.
I think it might be the single funniest movie ever made from start to finish. And it's very long there too. And it's a different type of humor than like Step Brothers and Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison and some of the movies that we grew up. It's not Will Ferrell comedy, but it is, I think, very subtly funny in a lot of ways that you pick up on as you go through it. And the type of comedy that I like. So it's one of my favorite movies for sure.
So I'm saying Matthew McConaughey in that movie. I'm looking up his screen time in Wolf of Wall Street.
What is it, like 90 seconds?
It's got to be the best pound for pound performance because I know Anthony Hopkins is in Silence of the Lambs for 24 minutes. And that's always been, for me, the best pound for pound performance in movie history. But 5 minutes of Matthew McConaughey in The Wolf of Wall Street is like, you feel like he's in that movie for 2 hours.
That would be an interesting random ranking. Best performances or best roles ever.
Yeah. Best pound for pound performance. Like screen time versus run time. This is a 3-hour movie that he appears in for 5 minutes.
You want to hear one for me?
Yeah.
That will surprise you. I probably think, and this is coming from somebody who despises comic book movies, that Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker. And wasn't he only on screen for like 20 minutes for the whole movie too? Like everybody thinks he's in that
more, but it's not much more.
But people think that Dark Knight is the greatest comic book movie
33 minutes.
And isn't that like a 2.5 hour movie?
Yes.
Like it almost feels like it's like insane to me that he wasn't in the movie more. It's
the Jaws thing. You can't show the shark too much. If you show the shark too much, it takes away the
scary
fear factor. Yeah.
Like from an acting performance, that was awesome. And again, that's not my lane. And Sandy Lyle, Philip Seymour Hoffman in Along Came Polly is one of the top 5 performances.
Of course.
I don't know if you've seen that movie recently, but that's homework for you if you haven't.
Speaking of homework, we've been assigned to watch Happy Gilmore too, so we do need to watch that at some point and review it.
I watched the first 20 minutes of it.
Okay, I haven't started it yet.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried if you watch the first 20 minutes of it and that's where you stop.
I didn't shut it off because I hated it. I shut it off because I had to go do something. But Yeah, I don't know if you saw the debate on Twitter this morning. Maybe we can pick up on another episode once I want you to watch it, then we can talk about it. But I'm very interested on your take on making sequels 20 years later to classics that like will remain in our memory forever, and them obviously not being nearly as good. What your stance is on, like, should they do that?
Well, we've had some horrific ones like Dumb and Dumber and Zoolander, and
Dumb and Dumber 2 was probably the worst movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And Dumb and Dumber 1 is like my favorite movie.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why it's hard. So, when I get to watch it, we'll have that debate, because I do think that might be a fun mailbag show debate. By the way, get your questions in. We're doing a Thursday mailbag because there's something special coming on Friday. So, Thursday mailbag this week. Dear Andy and Ari, Andy Staples on3 at gmail.com, Ari.Wasserman at on3.com. Hit us up. We love answering your questions. We love being on in the afternoon now. So it's going to be a brave new world. But we'll talk to you tomorrow.